And she said that she'd been in nonprofits for a long time and was a little bit burnt out. And she said, this is so crazy. There are just families everywhere, and there's no great place to get ice cream. It doesn't make any sense. There's a void in the market. And it struck a nerve with me, and I had worked in ice cream shops as a teenager, and we both decided that we thought it was a great idea to just offer a small ice cream shop that in that location in Brooklyn. That was how it was. And so it started out just as the shop. It evolved from there. But one of my pieces of advice would be, or looking back, I wish I had had a broader vision from the beginning, gotten the financing from the beginning for the larger, bigger scale operation, and saw, it would have been a completely different journey for me if I had done that. It wasn't possible for me at the time. I didn't have any business background. I had no view of myself as a business person. But what I've learned is that you can be a business person, and maybe I should have started thinking that way sooner.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here on this frigid, cold morning. So my name is Diti. I started a company called Foodie. Today, Foodie is a corporate catering platform where we partner with over 900 local food businesses, most of which are restaurants, traditional caterers, and Ellery's Green. She's also one of our vendors, but the idea is we want to provide these amazing local food vendors to corporations. So the idea is how do we get corporates to start thinking locally and sourcing better food as opposed to corporate catering, what they're usually used to, what I like to call is anonymous food. You'll hear Ellery's story, but the idea is where is your food coming from? What am I putting into my body? Everyone's putting this focus on health and wellness. Wellness is not just about exercising, but it's also about diet. So getting companies to start thinking about what's most important when they're feeding their employees. So we work with these 900 vendors, and one of the most important things is helping support immigrant and or women-run businesses. Being a woman myself, a first-generation immigrant, I saw my parents running their own businesses and having their ups and downs, and I wanted to see how I can help support other amazing entrepreneurs that are in the city. And so that was, that's why our concentration has always been on these immigrants.
Hi, good morning. I'm Lee Hill, and I own Ellery's Greens. We have two locations. Ellery's Greens, I should say, is a sexy, healthy restaurant. We have two locations in Manhattan. One sit-down location on Carmine Street in the West Village, and a grab-and-go location at Columbus Circle. And if you don't get anything else from me today, I really hope you get two messages. One is, have your passion, stick to it, and continue on with that, and really run with it. Don't let anyone take you off the mark. And the other is, network, network with everybody, and make connections wherever you can. I met Diti 3 weeks ago on another panel, and now we're working together. And last night, her whole team was at Ellery's Greens having their Christmas party. So, not our fault. But we serve sexy, healthy food. Everything is natural, organic, local, and sustainable wherever it can be. Those are not buzzwords at Ellery's Greens. They are our philosophy. We are committed to that. We make everything from scratch in-house. We butcher our chickens, not slaughter. There's a difference. People get confused, but we butcher our chickens in-house at both locations. We fillet our fish. And our entire menu, we really want you to have the opportunity to read our menu and be able to eat for whatever you have going on, so that if you are vegan or vegetarian or gluten-free or dairy-free, our entire menu is coded, and you can see that. However, if you love beer and bison and bacon and mashed potatoes, you can eat anything. So, come on down. So we don't limit the market, we open it to everyone. And we love what we do. We have a great team, and I have about 40 employees, and we opened our first location in April of 2013, and our second location in April of 2016. So I'm not sure what 2019 holds, but anyway, we're growing, and we're very excited about it. Happy to be here.
Hi, my name is Eleni. You said it's okay. I need it. Thank you. Everybody mispronounces my name, which is maybe I should have renamed the company, but that's okay. It's kind of fun, and it's a talking point. So my name's Eleni, and I have a cookie company. I I feel like I can speak a lot to ice cream. That I started my company because I was working in a corporate job, and I just wanted my own company. I came from a very entrepreneurial family, and felt like if I'm going to work this hard, I'm going to work for myself, which I love. And I'm passionate about dessert and cookies, but I was more passionate about having my own company, which I think everybody here today is. To me, the cookies initially just became the medium for which my business would be started. I do agree with you very much. I wish in hindsight that I had thought of it more as a business, thought about where would I be in 5 years or in 10 years, and projected or maybe asked for capital then. A lot of you might be in food today, and one piece of advice I gave a friend was, she started her company about 5 years after mine, and I said, don't manufacture, let somebody else manufacture for you. And she is in business today, very successful, and reminds me daily how much she appreciated that advice, because there's a lot involved. And I've learned a lot about, I would say in the last 5 years, about brand. What is brand? You know, what really defines it. My cookies,
Co-packing facility, or just talk a little bit about
I manufacture everything.
Oh, you do?
I do, yes. But, you know, interesting, if I had to do over, maybe I wouldn't, because it's taken a lot of capital to do that. And, you know, we're learning, and I might pivot and let somebody else make some of the product, as long as the quality's there. My company, I hope, is known for like tremendous quality, and delicious cookies. Interesting also, one experience I had, I started the company based on an oatmeal cookie, that it was my mother's recipe, and we still sell that, and it's tremendously popular. However, the first year in the Chelsea market, my store, the customers found little shaped cookies, and it was a side business for me, just like an afterthought. Well, the shaped cookies were far more popular, much more profitable, and are absolutely what the business is built on today. So I encourage you also to listen to your customers. It's the same company, but I slightly, changed the direction, and you can keep evolving your company.
Yeah, just to that point, earlier I said today our business is a corporate catering platform. When we first started, we were an online ordering platform for food trucks. The way we started that business was I was standing online at a food truck, got irritated that I waited 20 minutes and I got a peanut butter cookie, because guess what, I'm an impatient New Yorker, and I always believe there's always something better or a different quality somewhere. And what I did was I started talking to this food truck community. I didn't think that I'm going to start a business, so how can I better access this food? And so I started talking to a lot of these food trucks and carts, and what I realized was they didn't think of themselves as small business owners. They didn't think about who was their next customer, and that switch was what I really wanted to make for them, was how can I help this community of food vendors to actually think about their next customer, to actually think about scaling and growing their business, to actually think about how they can leverage technology that already exists. So not creating something new, but just they have cell phones. How can they start receiving orders from there? How can they market themselves on Twitter? How can they, and so we started off as that, and our business was doing well, but then we also pivoted, right? And so we also decided to listen to our customers and our vendor base. I always started the company because I wanted to help this amazing group of, food vendors in New York City. But then I decided to go back when I didn't see myself adding enough value to their businesses, and I said, what is it that you need? The holy grail for any food business is catering. And so that's where we said, you don't have a marketing department, let us be that for you. So we are now going to be that mediator. We're going to help you get into these large corporate offices. And so we're now able to get them into eBay, into large ad agencies like Drogify. And so it's amazing to be able to take what they weren't able to do and let us help them. But pivoting is always hard when you start a business, because you stick to your original idea and you become very stubborn. But I think you have to listen to your customers. You have to think about how you're going to add value to everybody in your business, and that's exactly what we did. It's just really focusing on the value add for them.
So,
We're going to move this back a bit, so this side of the room. See you. Just give us 1 second.
Something's plugged in there. Something's plugged in, so they want to, yeah.
up? A couple of us over here are just asking if what the password is for the Etsy guest Wi-Fi. I know I'm not the only one.
It's phone booth. The first O is a 0.
Awesome,
And
thank
it's
you.
all lowercase. The password to the NCS Wi-Fi is phone booth, but the first O is a 0 and it's all lowercase.
So phone booth, first O is the 0 is the password. So, when I met Eleni, sorry, she's a rock star to me. So, long before I met her, the person that I use, I'm a fast track facilitator, so I teach entrepreneurship for the city of New York. And the guy that I bring in to talk about pricing uses Eleni as an example of how to price. So she uses premium pricing. How many of you are small businesses who think that you have to charge a lower price to get business? So it's only a handful of you who have the courage to raise your hands. I'm going to give them there's more of you in the audience. So I'm going to ask a few of you who I imagine charge premium pricing, what gives you the confidence to charge it, and why is it so important as a small business to charge premium pricing?
I was like you're speaking to, afraid of charging a premium price initially, and have struggled over our pricing for a long time. It's probably a big debate within the company. But I did tell Geri I had an interesting experience this summer or spring. I had a client call. It's a large client, and they said they needed cookies, and I have worked with them for many years, and in the past just really catered to every bit of their need, whether it was financially sound for me or not, although it was very helpful in building a name for the company. But this summer and spring, I felt like, okay, I will work with them. I sensed a vulnerability with them, and I decided to massively increase our price to them. And it worked. And then I shopped, and then I also took it further, like, and this is the case count that you will buy them at, and this is the lead time, and I padded everything so that it became profitable for us. Instead of it just making a name for the company, which after a while, you made a name, okay, you need to make a profit. And so we felt for the first time the confidence to say, I will walk away from this to myself if we don't get this account. It's okay. And I've been checking in with them all fall and winter as the products are being delivered to see how it is going. And shockingly, it's going great. And they've actually had 100% sell-through at this premium price. So I encourage you to not be shy or having high prices, and to also build in enough to get the margins you need, which sometimes we think that's the cost to produce the product, but not all the other overhead as well.
So we have a lot of premium price products here. So Jenny, go ahead.
No, it's such a great question, and when we first started, we charged so little for our product because it was ice cream, and no one that we had seen were charging premium pricing for ice cream, because there really wasn't that kind of market in New York. You had Ellary de Gelato that was in the city, and it felt like a world away from Brooklyn. Anyway, we basically way undercharged, and it was partly because we were afraid of charging what we thought it was worth, but it was also afraid to admit this, but we didn't know what it was worth. We did not have the facility or the business background to really know what we should be charging and take a hard look at the numbers. And I think, just as I had said, if I could go back and would have claimed my dream more. We created a brand. How many of you are familiar with Blue Marble ice cream? Anyone? Okay, so thank you all for that. But for those who aren't, we created a brand that we felt was really beautiful and sexy and interesting looking. It had an appeal, so we at least had the thought to invest in a proper kind of trademark brand, which I think is also really important. We got that part right, I believe. But if we just had the courage to go, and with this we're going to do something big. So that's one piece. The other is, my dad said, when I said I was starting a business, okay, I just ask one thing, and I'll give you the money to do this. Just go to a night course in accounting. Take a course at just any, because he knew I hadn't taken math since high school. And I had no business experience. And we were so busy with just everything that it takes to start up a food service, an ice cream shop and everything, that I kept meaning to do it and I never did it. And that's my biggest regret. An accounting class, a bookkeeping class, something that will help you answer this question of how much are you spending on it, how much are you spending on labor, rent, everything else. It can really ruin you. It can really ruin you. It ruins a lot of people. I mean, you probably are more familiar with statistics, but anyway. So now we charge more what it's worth. We know what the numbers are. And I don't feel guilty at all about being profitable than I am, because there's always enough pieces of the business that are not profitable. But the pieces that are, by God, I'm taking that. It's going to help us grow. But that's another piece. As women, we hate to, I don't want anything extra. I don't need anything extra. That'll kill you.
I'm just curious, is anybody how many people in the room or any, in food and beverage, in any capacity at all? Okay. Yeah, so that's interesting. I will say this, everybody wants organic. No one wants to pay for it. And everybody wants local and seasonal. But please do not take Brussels sprouts off the menu in June. Okay, I love the Brussels sprouts. You can't take them off. It's like, honey, it's June. They're not in season. So, I mean, it's a real struggle. And you have to, exactly, just, I don't want to belabor the point, but you really do have to charge what it's worth. And for something like food, if you can't charge it in the full price in one item, and maybe it's true for everything, you can charge it in something else. So I'll tell you that we lose money on our bison, but we make it up on our deviled eggs, right? So we weigh that out, and we don't charge, peanuts for our deviled eggs, which you enjoyed last night, but we also don't overcharge, we charge more than the market will bear for our bison. So you really do have to weigh it out, and having an accounting class is a wonderful idea, but it is so true as women, we undervalue what we do, we undervalue what people will pay for it, we undervalue what we need as far as the requirements go on how many cases, etc. And people really respond when you have a product and you believe in it and you believe in yourself and you say, this is what it is, how many can I get you? They go, 10 please, right? They don't usually say, and if you said, well, I know it's a lot, but why don't you just start with 1 or 2? They'd be like, I'll think about it. But if you just forge through, they'll be right with you. And if they don't want to buy, they won't buy. But it's really a matter of how you position it and having that confidence.
Yeah, the main thing is removing guilt. You have to pay yourself. You have bills to pay, you have children to feed, pay yourself. When you're running your business, it's not charity. It's really to have a good mission. We have a mission of helping immigrant women entrepreneurs, and that's the mission I drive with. But I have to pay myself, right? I'm not doing something in charity work. I'm not volunteering. When I volunteer, I go volunteer my time, and that's separate from my business. So removing guilt from your day-to-day is extremely important. And confidence, right? If you just
every single solitary person who comes into my restaurant pays. And that includes, and this is important, my husband and my children. And here is why. And my team honestly could not believe it when we opened. They're like, you're charging your husband? I said, yes, honey, where does it end? Let's say my husband comes in here with his brother and his friend and his cousin. Or my kids come in with all their friends from high school. Great! Guess what? No. So I'm not kidding. Okay? You have to charge them all. It doesn't end. And here's the thing. If you start with that policy right from the get-go, no one's offended, right? It's equal opportunity charging. It's not like you used to get it for free. Now I don't like you. We had a falling out. You're paying. No. Everybody pays right from the minute they walk in the door, and that's extremely important. And if you want to, like, send a cookie or something after, that is at your discretion. But the expectation is everyone pays, and everyone pays full price. Because it's a very slippery slope, and you will lose. And people will then just resent you for the niceness you extended them in the first place if you ever let them not pay once. Well, I didn't pay last time. Why am I having to, right? It doesn't help you. It really doesn't. Charge them all, even your husbands, even your kids, charge them all. Okay. I'm going to ask you to hold the questions. We have like a half an hour for questions. And I want to dive a little bit deeper into dreaming big. So how many of you want to have multi-billion-dollar companies? Billion. I have to tell you, last winter I asked it as a billion-dollar question. I was a little intimidated with this group and thought that maybe I should hold back and only ask it as million-dollar. So women start million-dollar companies at 1/3 the rate of men. So start dreaming big, and one of those things that helps you achieve the million-dollar, billion-dollar is access to capital. So let's talk a little bit about financing. So, Eleni, since you're looking at me, did you raise outside capital?
I was very fortunate when I started my company. I was living in the city, and I became friends with a woman at the Bank of New York. This is a long time ago, and she really took me on as her one kind of charity case at the bank. Like, we will support you. It's a woman-owned manufacturing company. And so I started with a small loan, I think initially $20,000, then $60,000, $200,000, and she was there for me every step of the way. When the Bank of New York merged with Chase, it was very difficult. So I would encourage you to, I literally walked down the street, went to my local banker, and became friends. And that relationship saved my company. So, because I think to your point, it's very difficult to have people just provide capital. And she saw that the loans were being paid back on time. She would come inspect the bakery, see the equipment that was being purchased. It was a really positive experience.
Yeah, sure.
I'm actually going to pass this to Dee, and I'm going to come back if you don't mind. Go ahead.
Sure. So when I first started the business in 2011, I raised $500,000 from friends, family, and angel investors. It was definitely very helpful at the time to be able to say that we had raised this money, also hire the right people that we needed to push forward. And I do agree, it is really essential to think about outside funding, but it's a personal choice. And you have to figure out what kind of business you want to create for yourself, right? Dream big, but dream to the point that you want to be there, right? You want to start that billion-dollar business or million-dollar business. You don't all have to be the unicorns. It's okay to have, a small business and be okay with that. So I think dream as big as you would like to dream. And if you don't want to be that next unicorn, don't have to be. So for me, it was figuring out what I wanted with my business. And even today, I've come to terms to the growth that I will have with my business, and I'm going to go out again and raise money. But I think a lot of times people forget, they raise money, they forget about how to do like day-to-day things with that money, and they just kind of throw it around. But don't be afraid to take the money either. I think is important.
One person gave me advice, which was, you might have a multi-million-dollar company, but is it profitable? There's still a lot to be said. Okay, let's say you have a $100,000 company, but it's profitable. And then as you seek capital, the people that you're looking to get capital on will see a positive path
go out and raise capital, and not everybody should do it as angel. Maybe it's a CDFI, which is a community development financial institution, which is more likely to be the way that a woman or a business is going to raise money. So from an Axion, from a Geri, these are ways that women can get a loan as opposed to getting angel or venture capital. That's what's sexy these days, but the reality is only about 1% of companies are going to raise venture capital. So Jenny, if you could talk a little bit about the way you raise capital, or not.
Oh, sure. So real quick, Alexis and I both owned properties, and it was the height of it was right before the big bust, and it was in 2007. We both leveraged our properties, and so I took out a mortgage that I didn't have previously. She took out home equity line of credit. I actually took out mortgage and home equity line of credit. So we borrowed against these properties. This was a very we were lucky that we could do that, so that's acknowledged. But because of that, we were able to own the company outright ourselves and not raise from outside. There was no way, I don't think we could have gotten, I don't know how we could have gotten capital for two people who had no business background whatsoever and had no idea what they were doing. But in any event, we answered, we lied on the question, said, what are you doing with these funds? Are you putting them into business? No. Anyway, so then once we had a proven track record after the first 3 years, we did our first raise, actually 4 years, in 2011, out to friends and family. We raised about $200,000, and then we did another raise about twice that, and we some of the original investors invested, and some new folks came in.
Bless you.
And in the meantime, we got a loan, a bank loan from the NYBDC. Are folks familiar with NYBDC? New York Business Development Corporation, write that down.
And they are a CDFI.
I don't know even
Yeah,
what that
I do.
means.
So it's a community development financing institution.
So they loan money to people that big banks don't loan money to.
So there's a type of financing, so some of you may not know this, but it's unlikely that you're going to get a loan from a commercial bank. Or maybe you do know that since I hear some laughter in the audience. CDFIs, community development financial institutions, were created to serve underserved communities. So they will provide loans. They're going to be a little bit more money than a commercial bank, but they are going to support you with more technical assistance to make sure that you succeed. So let me just put a push for a couple of city resources. Any of the New York City Department of Business Services centers can connect you to these CDFIs like Axion and Geri. I'll be coming out with a e-guide on all of the financing options that are out there, so it explains as to whether you want to be a small business or whether you want to be a high-growth business or whether you want to raise that angel and venture capital. But it lays it out in terms of what types of funding are you likely to be using at which stage of business. Even a CDFI is going to point you eventually to a commercial bank. So what they want to do is make you ready to get that cheaper financing, which you are more likely to get at 2 or 3 years, and not at, as a startup. So I just want to start, because I know we're going to run out of time, and I want to talk a little bit about networking, because I think I mentioned it, but Dee and we met each other at a networking event. So a lot of people meet at networking events. They do business with each other. They refer each other to other businesses. They may be mentors. So again, let's just go down row and maybe let me start in the middle. So please look eager to dive in. So I'm not shy. It's not a big surprise if anybody knows me, and I will give away my business card to anybody on the subway. That is true. I will bring in customers from anywhere, and I will meet anybody and talk about business at any time, any aspect of it. And I really, really encourage you to do the the piece that you think sets you apart that other people might take and run with and then become your competition. I mean, if there's something that you need to hold back that's sacred to you, do so, but have your elevator pitch. Really think about who you are and what you want to do, and then ask every single person out there that you meet that may have a connection or a way to interact with you. I'm going to be talking to both of y'all after this, because the things that you said that I want to know about, and for my business. But it's so important that you have your story in your head and you know how to tell it. That's really, really crucial. And then that you get to tell it to everybody, and you get to really see who's out there and how you can work together. And people want to work with you, just like you want to work with other people. So don't be shy about that. And I think that networking at these kind of events, wherever opportunities arise, it's just so important, because honestly, at the end, like you said, you got the greatest piece of advice. I mean, we could all go through and tell you what the greatest piece of advice was that we got from somebody, and we got that, I'm pretty sure, from somebody who we were networking with. And I know the greatest piece of advice that I got was from a fellow restaurant owner who had the space that I'm in before I had it. And I called him cold and said, hi, I'm looking at this space. Can you tell me anything about the neighborhood? What can I know? And I literally looked him up and called him cold, and he said, let's get together and meet. We're super great friends to this day. And the best piece of advice he told me was, never, ever pay anybody off the books. The only people you pay off the books are the ones you're willing to go to jail for. Because that's where you're going. So he said, in all sincerity, and it was great advice. And it was not advice that he had taken. He had started 15 years before, so he's been in the business for 20 years, back in the day when people did pay off the books. And he was still weeding, trying to get some of those people on the books. They didn't have paper, whatever the reasons were. But he said to me, this is the best advice I'm going to give you, and I promise you it was the best advice I got. And I called him literally cold, Googling his name, and just said, hey, I'm hoping you'll talk to me because I'm interested in the space that you used to inhabit. Can we meet? And he said, yeah. And he's been amazing, but do it all the time, really and truly. So,
Great.
yeah.
So Titi,
So yes to networking as much as possible. It seems intimidating, but honestly, letting your guard down, just saying, hey, what's up? What's going on? What are you doing? What brings you here? Simple. Keep it easy, and everyone's got a story, right? You know, and networking shouldn't be about what can I get from somebody, what can you give? And I always think about that, right? What can I do for somebody else before I go out and say, hey, can you do X, Y, and Z? Because I don't know what what they can give me or they can't. But at least if I have something to offer, some piece of advice, it's always helpful. And the other thing I would also say is, on a networking perspective, is I always surround myself with critics. It's important, it's important to have that, people that are always going to say, yes, you can do this and push yourself forward. But you also need people to tell you what's wrong. What is it that you're not doing right? And somebody that's not going to always be there to just keep supporting you all the way about every single business decision you make. I think that's really important to think about, as you're networking, who are these people that you can put yourself around and say, hey, we're starting this new strategy. What do you think about it? Give me some advice and tell me everything you think is wrong with it. Because that's what's going to help you make an even better decision with whatever you're trying to do for your business. So I think, two things are just go in with an open mind. Every single time I walk into a room like this, I always do get intimidated, but I always say I want to walk away with one great contact. So I move around the room, I see what's going on, I listen in on conversations. But that's the way you kind of get yourself to where you need to be. And just walk away with one good contact that you know you can do something for or get something from. So it doesn't always have to be for you, but what can you do? Because people are always willing to help, return that favor and help you out with, if you help them with something. So that's what I would say.
terrific. Jenny?
I don't really have a lot to add on the networking. I think they've said great things. Yeah. Yeah.
Eleni, anything else?
No, I just echo that women are afraid to ask for help and don't.
Can you give her the microphone?
In the past few years, I've turned and asked for help, and
Sorry, we can't hear you. I want to hear that. Sorry about that.
women are typically, to generalize, women can be afraid to ask for help, and men do. They just blurt it right out. And I fall into that category of being afraid to ask for help. In the past few years,
butter-traded chocolate, which she puts into snacks and baked, baked goods, as well as snacks. And she did something that I think is extremely interesting. So she wanted to have a small group of people, an advisory group of people that were exactly like her. So she's a food entrepreneur. She's also a mother of 2 children. Both, I think, are under the age of 3 or 4. So she wanted to meet women who had 2 children who were food entrepreneurs. So at a trade show, or trade shows, she went up to women and started talking and forming relationships. She didn't want a huge group, but she got 2 women, or found 2 women, and she formed a Slack group. So how many of you are familiar with Slack? It's a collaborative tool. And what she does is she communicates with these 2 other food entrepreneurs, and she's asking them everything. So how much do you pay for a babysitter? How much do you, or what is the best vendor at a trade show in Denver to give out sampling? Help me with sampling at a trade show. So she always goes to her Slack group, so it's very easy to find the sort of the train of communication about that specific communication. So I want to continue and ask a few more questions. Let's see. What's the biggest obstacle that you faced? So, I mentioned entrepreneurship is a roller coaster. I don't want to sugarcoat this, although with this particular group, maybe we do want to sugarcoat it. It's really important to understand that it's not a straight shot. So if you can share maybe an obstacle that you've overcome and how you overcame it.
I can speak to that because I've had many obstacles. An obstacle that might happen when I started my company is having 1 or 2 employees, and when one doesn't show up, you lost 50% of your workforce, and you're not counting on that. To be an entrepreneur takes a lot of perseverance, and you need to be able to think and move forward and make decisions quickly. I work with a woman today who's amazing, but when she gets a snag, she will spend way too much time talking about the snag. Like, okay, we're aware of the problem, move on. So, and to your point about a man, they would move on, right? I had a shipment of boxes come in from Asia that were, they had a smell to them, and all of our boxes are like chocolate boxes where the food goes directly into the box. That is a major problem that can put you out of business. So it was a financial burden. I guess we solved it by having a great relationship with the vendor, treating your vendors well like family members, and being square and direct. You have a problem, you created it, you solve it, and quickly. And then reaching out with all honesty to the customers, and we've detected, there was no health risk, but we've detected an odor in the boxes and recalled them. And for a small company, I'm not Nabisco, to recall the boxes is challenging. And encouraging your employees or your vendors, if you make a mistake, be honest and upfront. That's the only way we can deal with it. Everyone's going to make a mistake. I've certainly made the most. And just trying to make the best of it and to plow through a very challenging situation.
Okay, so I've been given the 5-minute mark. So if we can each sort of wrap up with either the obstacle or maybe one bit of tip that you want to give.
I'm going to give you a tip. I didn't speak to the finance question. I just want to say this. However you raise money, make sure you're incredibly clean with yourself and with other people about what the contractual agreement is. If it's friends and family, if it's a bank, by the way, if it's a bank, they're going to be clean with you. You're going to sign 5,000 pieces of paper. But if it's friends and family, make sure that you're really clean with them and with yourself on what this is, and let them know this may all be zero tomorrow. You're going to do your best to be a great steward of the money, but the relationship that you have with them is more important than the money, and you need to have an open conversation about that. And that's something that kind of is is also, could be a huge obstacle. I guess the last thing I'd say is hire slowly, fire quickly. Yeah.
So two quick obstacles. One was hiring. I think everyone's going to face that problem no matter where. But one of the things when I was first starting the business, I was hiring quickly and not selling the business enough. I was just hiring people, salespeople, because I needed someone to go sell with me. There was only so much I could do by myself, and I noticed a lot of turnover. People were coming and going. Within 6 months, I think I had like 7 salespeople, and that's not good, right? For any business, you can't have turnover. And the problem I realized was I was just hiring anyone with sales experience and not understanding that I wasn't selling who I was. I wasn't selling my business. These people didn't care that I was working with immigrants and women-owned businesses and trying to scale them and grow. They were just like, oh, you need to sell something, I need money. And anytime they could get paid a couple of dollars more, they left for that. So selling your business to whoever you hire is extremely important. So selling your passion, your mission, and everything as to why you started the business. It was one of the things that I noticed last night that, I have one team member that I just recently brought on, and he was being sold to by every single person on my team by just saying, we love working with TT. And that's such a phenomenal thing to hear your team say, that they love working with you and that they're there for you. And it's a great feeling because I didn't have that before. And so that turnover was happening way too quickly and was not great for the business because even our partners were saying, what's going on? It seems like you have problems. Second issue that I had was, how many of you think I'm younger than 21? I know you're not raising your hands for a serious reason, but I had that problem when I was first starting the business. I was in India, working on the tech, and I had a lot of people that were like, oh, so you're working on a project? And I was like, no, I'm starting a business. They're like, no, have you even graduated college? I'm like, yes, I have. I've had 5 jobs throughout college, and I've been paid, and I'm starting a business. And it was tough to go through those challenges as a female of color, minority, and just like dealing with people not accepting me for who I was or taking me seriously. Right. But what did I do? I stood up, put my hands right here, and I said, guess what? I'm here, I'm serious, I'm going to get something done, and tomorrow you're going to be like, well, how can I work for you? How can I work with you? And so that confidence that I keep coming back to, that guilt that people always bring into their business, a lot of women do, you have to shed that away. So for me, the obstacle was always looking like I was really young. I mean, people say, when you have an 8-month-old son, yes, I do. When I'm 50, I'll look like I'm 21, and this will be great. I'll get married. But with that being said, that was another obstacle. It's not something that comes for a lot of people, but being taken seriously. I am 5 feet tall, but I act like I'm 60, and I walk into a room and exude as much confidence as possible, even if I don't sometimes feel it. But that's how you have to walk in everywhere you go. Even when you're walking into network, you have to believe you can create a $1 billion business, because even in reality, if you believe that you can, you'll get somewhere close to that, and you'll still have some fulfillment in whatever you're doing.
Jenny, and then we're going to do Q&A, so I remembered who had their hands up before with questions.
So real quick, I could list the list of things that have gone wrong and obstacles would never end. It would never end. Then I thought to myself, well, I could just do 2015. No, that was our worst year. No, I can't even go into it. But just to refine something I think might be helpful for this group, I found it really, really, really hard to run my business and be a mom at the same time. I didn't have any kids when I started. I now have one. And I did everything. And my partner, my business partner also did everything. And it was so hard. And so the only thing that I managed to understand was creating boundaries around each piece of my life was the only way that it was going to happen. A lot of people who are entrepreneurs, they probably work from home, or they probably have the option to be at home and work from home. Well, I don't need to have a babysitter because I can just do it at home and save the money or whatever. To me, I learned that trying to care for a child, which everyone here should know is a job, it was impossible for me to do that and focus on the tasks I needed to do for work. Maybe this is just me, but it actually made me crazy. And I was still effective at work. I wasn't effective as a mom, and And I was nuts. I had no, I myself was suffering very much from this. So I wound up thinking, how do women do this? How do people do this? And I still don't really know. But I talked to a friend who was like, I knew her from high school, and she's a prolific author. She's written more than a dozen books. She has 4 kids. She works at home, and I just look at her like, okay, you're made of something else. How do you do it? And she said, I create hours, a schedule. This is when I'm writing. This is when I'm being a mom. They never are happening at the same time ever. And that's the only way she's been able to write as many books as she has. So I try to remember that.